Hey there, it's author and attorney Kelly O'Connell with Knockout Radio, offering a challenge and insights one podcast at a time. Well, today's show is called After Disastrous Clueless Start for Biden, Trump Poised for Triumphant Return. And I ask, so would you like some good news? Things usually continue how they start, and so it's quite likely that Joe Biden is going to continue to fail as much as he's done already. Therefore, Trump is in the catbird seat to get the GOP nomination and win again. Why? Because Biden, in his smug and clueless, impaired way, has already proved Trump was right about virtually everything. So anyway, hope you're doing well, and was writing another article tonight, and I'm going to publish it tomorrow in Canada Free Press, but that article is named America Must Battle Democrats' Crazed, Hypocrisy, and Back Them Down, and Biden crouching behind Dementia, pretends everything he does aids the cosmos. And let's get to that in a minute, but first let me mention to you, and I don't think you're going to disagree, the areas that Biden has screwed up. I've got 8 different areas here: energy independence, border security, inflation, jobs, foreign policy, U.S. military, race relations, and unity. Okay, so my thesis here, my idea here is, and I just kind of realized it tonight, Biden has screwed up so far. Number one, the only thing he's gotten good credit for is for the virus policy, which was set up by Trump before Biden ever came along. And even though Biden refuses to admit that Trump is the one who did everything that needed to be done, he has gotten credit for passing out viruses or vaccines. So everything that he's done that's deviated from the policy of Trump has seemed to go up in flames. And so I thought about it and I realized, Donald Trump's popularity, I'm sure, has gone up quite a bit because the stuff that he warned about, the stuff that he did, has proven to be true. The warning against Biden has also turned out to be true. Biden has 2 bad things going for him, but I thought to myself, the idea of Trump coming back is not so crazy. So the 2 things that Biden has going against him are, number one, he's extremely far to the left on everything that he's doing. And number 2, he doesn't seem to be competent. He doesn't seem to be with it. And so you've got this bad feeling that somebody is coming along and trying to change everything, and they don't even really know what they're doing, which suggests that somebody else is pulling the levers, right? I mean, that's pretty obvious. So you've got this terrible sense that here's this old guy is being taken advantage of. He might be naturally liberal and he might be very radical for all we know deep down, but he's going in that direction not because he's got these deep convictions, because he can't even really talk about stuff without screwing it up. He's going in this direction because somebody else is pushing him in that direction, and it just gives a bad feeling. So, all right, so energy independence. What's the first thing that Biden did when he got into office? He closed down the Keystone Pipeline. Now, I've looked around on the internet, and I believe the Keystone Pipeline is about 40% finished of all the stuff that it needs to do. And so it's not like it was going to be done next week, but it was going to bring 850,000 barrels of oil daily down to Houston, and to be clarified and turned into gas and other products. So you immediately take that off the table, and then we have this thing where the Colonial Pipeline is shut down by Russian terrorists, and so that's another big pipeline that's off the table. And all of a sudden, you've got fuel shortages all across the East Coast in just a couple of days. All right, Then they're fighting to shut down this pipeline that comes out of the Dakota pipeline, which went from 500,000 gallons or barrels to a million barrels a couple of years ago. They're trying to get rid of that. And while this pipeline is shut down in the East Coast, Colonial, Governor Whitmer is trying to get another pipeline shut down that has another 500,000 barrels. And so you've got this really crazy idea that has been put out there, and I'll just kind of introduce you to it because it's what my article talks about. There's this idea that the people that are in office now can do anything they want, and it doesn't matter if it makes any apparent sense. It doesn't matter if it seems to go against our best interests. It doesn't matter especially if it goes against something that the Biden or the party complained about previously. It doesn't matter because what's basically being presented is that every day is happening unique unto itself. And it doesn't matter if we were opposed to kids getting locked up in cages a year ago. Now it's fine because we're stacking all these kids in these, these little buildings like cordwood, because and it's not clear what the argument is because they don't even bother to give the argument. They don't want to talk about it. Why would that be? Why would it be that Biden is okay to lock up kids in cages, or 1,000 kids in the same cage that a couple 10 or 20 used to be in? Why would that be? And I'd like to suggest that we as a people in the United States have not learned how to think from school because they've changed school so much. And it's this very frustrating idea that we had to change our schools, even though they were probably the best in the world at the time of the founding. Because, look at these brilliant guys that we produced that came up with the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. But people can't be taught how to think on their own because that's too dangerous. So they have to be led by the government. So you've got all of these policies that are not just flip-flopping, they're being changed in the most obviously harmful ways. And it just feels like we're going down the drain. So on energy independence, right? Okay, so we're going after all these pipelines because of global warming. And then Colonial Pipeline gets shut down. And when it gets shut down, then, and I can't remember her name, but the energy secretary says, we got to turn this pipeline on. Pipelines are the best. And you think about it, what would take more energy? What would be more dangerous? Trucks full of fuel, or train cars full of fuel, or a pipeline? Obviously, a pipeline is going to be by far the safest and least expensive, the safest way to move fuel, and will keep it from spilling out into the environment. And it will be also cheaper. So you're going to spend less fuel taking the fuel over. And there's no comparison. But the left, because the left has total control over their followers, was able to convince them in the same way that a wall is wrong, that a pipeline is wrong. So you've got this mass ocean of people, these leftists, these Democrats, who are sitting there like babies every day waiting to be taught what the truth is of that day. So, but in any event, energy independent, we were exporting fuel, energy, until Biden got into office, and then he shut down a lot of federal stuff. So that starts that off, and then they get rid of the Keystone Pipeline, and they probably killed 1 million jobs doing that. So people now see, after the Colonial Pipeline went down, that it is good to be energy independent and not have to spend $4 million bribe to get your pipeline turned back on again. It's scary how these leftists, how these Democrats will just follow like puppies. It's just, and they're supposed to be the smart ones. So, number 2, border security. The border has been totally opened up and people are flooding in. and they say there's going to be between 2 and 3 million people that come in. These people are making it less safe on the border because people from individuals from around the world, 160 different countries are coming here, and recently they've had new people showing up, and I think somebody said they were coming in from Brazil all of a sudden and other places like that. But any place that wants to get into the United States, because we've made it a policy to shut down the border stuff and let people come through, and then they don't have to go to court. But it's made everything less secure. People know this, though. People know that individuals who don't have any papers are being dropped off across the United States. And this is, number one, it's illegal. But number two, people understand it doesn't help us. It doesn't help us to get a bunch of individuals in here who are not educated, who can't speak the language, and are going to need state aid. Why would we want 2 million people from outside of the country that are not ready to come here and work? All right, number 3, inflation. The Biden administration is insisting on spending $6 trillion this year, and inflation is going through the roof. Building materials are through the roof, so housing is going to go up. It's going to double, triple in some places. People saw that when Trump was in office, there was no inflation. And I don't think they're going to blame it. Biden will blame it on Trump because he's blamed everything on him. And because the media is so ravenous to have something new to blame against Trump, that they'll blame it on Trump. It has nothing to do with him. And by the way, did you know CNN's numbers are down 75%? How can they even make it? But that's because they're not attacking Trump all the time now. Now, jobs. We had a jobs number that came out the other day that was 200,000 or 300,000. It was probably 275,000, 230,000, whatever it was. People are not going back to work because they're getting paid by the government. This is a disaster. Where our economy's growing at a very fast pace because COVID is ending, where the shutdowns are ending. But now you can't fill these jobs. And as a matter of fact, in trucking, we are down 50,000 drivers. And there was one place, I think it was in San Antonio, is paying $14,000 a week for delivery drivers. And I think it's for fuel tankers. So that's another bad policy. Foreign policy now. We told Iran that we were going to back them coming back into the treaty that was started by Obama and John Kerry and then shut down by Trump. We send them money, millions, billions of dollars, whatever. They spend that money to buy missiles and send them to Hamas, and Hamas shoots them to Israel. This is a direct fault of Biden. And now you've got insecurity, you've got conflict going across the Middle East. And I mean, they're talking about going and attacking Israel, and thank God Israel attacked Hamas in such a way that they blew up a lot of their underground tunnels. And, Hamas is running this place. They don't try to help their people. They want to kill Israel. It's just crazy. So the foreign policy, the mistakes, kissing Russia's butt, then for energy independence, and I'm telling you, we shut down the Keystone Pipeline because these people are fanatics because of global warming. But what are we doing now? We're helping Russia restart a pipeline in the Europe. So that just disproves that even they believe in global warming. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. We should do a whole thing just on pipelines. U.S. military, they used January the 6th as an excuse to go after anybody in the military who's conservative or Christian. So what kind of a military are you going to have when you're done? You're just going to have another bureaucracy that's completely political And it's not going to be the fighting force that we used to have. And that, in and of itself, it's just terrifying. And so why did all this have to happen? What is so special about socialism and Marxism that it has to happen? Oh my God, it's only caused just terrible suffering around the world. Now, then you've got race relations, and we know because the government is trying to stick critical race theory into all of these government agencies teaching for it. Big business is following. They're teaching, and it's gotten into the media, cancel culture. It's ruining our experience of life. Nobody can say anything. Comedians can't say anything. If you say the wrong thing online, you get canceled. You get everything shut down. I mean, it's just, oh my God. And this is all coming out of the Biden camp. Now, what's the last thing that they promised? Unity. They were going to be unified, right? Why do they say that? Because it sounds good. What have they done to be unified? They've tried to do everything on slim margins. They don't have an agenda. They don't have a mandate because it's 50-50 in the Senate, and they've got, I think, 14 extra people in the House? Slim margins, and they're shoving everything down our throat. Now, my point, after listening to all that suffering and malfeasance and screw-ups, I think this puts Trump in a position to be able to come back. Everything that he was fighting for, that they changed. I mean, they didn't change the vaccines, and so that worked out well. That's where he gets his popularity. Every single thing that we were warned about, every single part of this just screams out that Trump was right and Biden is not able to do the job. He's not able to do the job, and it's become an absolute disaster. And so Trump gets the door opened by Biden himself. Isn't that crazy? Now, what's caused this? Well, I think the cause of this is that the far left has ideas that are incompatible with reality. And like socialism, like Marxism and everything. And these people, on the other hand, they have to have it. They have a taste for it in their mouths. They think that they've got power, and they're going to use the power. And the result of using the power the way that they want to is a total just implosion, total just falling apart of everything. And just look at if you don't believe it, look at the inflation. Now, here's this article that I wrote. America must battle Democrats' crazed hypocrisy and back them down. So, as I was saying, the most frustrating thing about Biden is that Trump did things and he was attacked for them. He was an evil person. And he made terrible mistakes, and he was going to ruin America, right? You remember that? Just a few months ago? Everything the guy did, they tried to stop it down. And Nancy Pelosi acted like they were fighting Satan himself. All right, that's gone. That's over. Now, Biden is... Most frustrating of Biden's missteps is basing new policies on old sins. And they repudiated Trump, and now all of a sudden Trump is rehabilitated. I've never seen anything like it. And so I say the jaw-dropping reversals have cuckolded Biden's reputation. A cuckold is someone who's another man sleeps with his wife. Such quick adjustments reveal Dems' lack of maturity and also prove they're only interested in scoring points via sophistry or using words to lie to people. So there's a few things that are resulting of this. And number one, it implies the Dems were slandering Trump, because when you see that their main attack against him was that these kids are living in boxes, right? Well, now they've filled these boxes with 10 times as many kids, and we see that they were lying. They were slandering against Trump. Now Trump is rising. So they've opened the floodgates of a bunch of terrible policies. It's like Jimmy Carter reborn. Inflation through the roof. And it's because of deficit spending, of this massive, what they call fiat money spending. And if we don't stand up to these guys, we're going to lose everything, and you're not going to believe it until it's over. And I quote King Lear, and "'Tis the time's plague when madmen lead the blind." All right, so examples. The Dems had a fetish for Trump putting kids in cages. Now youngsters are wrapped up like foiled potatoes and tossed into cages like piglets. 10% COVID affected. But the original concern was child safety, right? But they don't care about child safety because now they're using these kids to bring a lot more people into the country so they can have more Democrats. So these guys act like Chicken Little. Everything is a disaster. Global warming is just one of their many, many things that they warn about. And, Biden is the king catastrophe. He's Chicken Little. But I ask you, do they really care about this stuff? And they obviously don't. They don't care about it because as soon as a better opportunity, they shut down a pipeline. When a better opportunity happens outside of the United States and they can help our enemies like Russia, then they go over and help them. And they don't care about global warming. They don't believe in it. So this is my analysis. Then this is the theory. It's not the content of any government decision or policy which makes it good or bad, but the party who makes the decision. So, for example, if Trump locks up illegal children and is criticized, the way to cure this bad action is not to outlaw it or modify it, not to stop it, but merely to switch the president making this decision. Now, you'll say, number one, that is happening, it's true, and number two, it's crazy. And I think that if you see it from their perspective, although I do believe it's crazy, from their perspective, they've got all these wonderful plans. They're going to downsize America. They're going to bring our authority and give it away around the world. And then we're going to embrace world socialism or world government or whatever, right? I mean, this has been the dream for millennia. And so they think that if we do something, those of us on the right, those of us who are conservatives, it's okay. It's wrong because it's going to help us achieve our goals, and our goals is to stay independent, to stay wealthy, to keep a good military so we can help create world peace and help our people from being taken advantage of and such. So there is a method to their ideas. Now, I bring in something from Plato. Plato has this thing that he wrote called Euthyphro. It's Greek, The name doesn't matter, but this is what Plato asks. And it's a dialogue. It's two people talking. So Plato asks if God finds the best plan, the best choice, and then executes on it because it is the best thing to do? Or, on the other hand, do we just simply believe that God, whatever he does, it's good because God is good? Now, obviously that's paganism and everything, and I could do a Christian analysis, and the Christian analysis is it's basically both. Since God is good, everything he does is good. But anyway, so is everything that Biden does justified because Joe is a good man, he's a good old man? If that's true, there are no bad choices if it's done by the right people. And you do understand that is insane, right? Bad logic, the outcome is crazy. Democrats do believe it, though. They appear to believe it. Now, how are we going to save America? We've got to stand up on all of these choices. We have to have the balls. We have to have the guts to stand up against these things in whatever way we can. If we hear about a policy that's terrible, we need to call up our Congress people. We need to tell our friends. We need to tell our pastor. people at work or whatever. We need to get people involved to fight against it. We need to sign petitions. We need to go out and protest. Whatever it is you can do that can help about these things. So, for example, the example I use, Biden can't be trusted to send any more money to Iran. He can't be allowed to do it because they spent that money on missiles, sent it to Hamas, and then Hamas almost started World War III. And Iran had also put a bunch of armaments into an unmarked boat and was sailing it over to one of their other satellites. And so we can't allow these people to do whatever they want. So I say pray, tell everybody, get involved, and that my argument is that we have a duty to resist this type of anarchy and fight for the Republic. If God did choose America as a light, we owe him a duty to resist evil as long as his light shines. All right, man. Well, it's good hanging out with you. This one probably took a little bit longer, but I think it was worth it. Oh my gosh, 26 minutes. Thanks for tuning in. If you want me to do a podcast on anything, drop a note in one of the podcasts that's already out there, or send me an email, and I will work on it. And I hope you're having a good day today, and appreciate you stopping in here. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Have a great day. Kelly O'Connell. Ciao.